Creepers left and right, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to stimulate it. Spiders in the mirror and things can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision, still frozen time. Spear drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes, the best part of my life. And when we make love, babe, don't make a sound, the clock won't turn around. Ooh, you turn around, 2,000 little fires, and ooh, your circle is spreading.
Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today is Thursday and we're gonna attempt a vlog. Yeah, I'm so grateful for you all and for putting up with me, and I know I keep saying that, and this has been a year. This has been a mental health year, this has been a physical health year, this has just been quite a year, and I appreciate all of you once again for being here with me. But in case you didn't know, like, I am not a professional YouTuber. Like, I do not make income from this. Like, I do have ads turned on my channel, but like, it's not much. It's not. So like, this isn't a job for me. This is just something that I just do for fun. So I felt like I wanted to mention that, because especially in the sphere where more and more people are turning YouTube into their careers, and maybe their content is a little more tailored to, you know, for that purpose, because it is their career. Like, for me, this ain't my job, y'all. This is not my job. I am just doing this because I love it. And if I don't love it, I'm not going to do it. And so, yeah, I'm just saying that so that if this doesn't look like the most professional vlog, like, I ain't no professional. I'm just a lady who really likes to talk about books, and I talk to you about them. So, okay, I started yesterday a historical romance that I started it, and I wasn't quite sure how I was feeling about it. It's called Seeking Panie. This is from an author that I've had my eye on for a while. I own a couple of her physical books, and I saw on Instagram that, like, they are making a movie out of this, or like, it's not like a big budget studio, but it looks like there is a movie being made about this. I will have to double check on that and update you all, but that intrigued me. So I checked my library to see if they had this audiobook, and they did. So I checked it out, and then this was like 12 days ago, and then I got the notification that it was going to be returned soon, and I was like, oh shoot, I really wanted to listen to that. So here we are, listening to this audiobook. So this book reminds me a lot of Edenbrooke, which I also have read and loved. Like, that was one of the books I talked about when I first started my channel. I really love that book. I think it's very, very sweet. I just reread it last year, and I felt like it was just as sweet as the first time I read it. So this book is kind of giving me those vibes. And yesterday I was messaging my friends about it, and I'm like, I'm not sure, my friends being Jesson and Jen from the Book Refuge, who we chat about books almost every day. And I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, because the setup is something we've seen a million times before in historical romance. We have our Duke hero who is scarred. He's very taciturn. He's very grumpy. He needs to find a bride. Nobody wants to marry him because he's grumpy and scarred, or he doesn't consider the grumpiness. He thinks nobody wants to marry him because he's scarred. So he needs to find a wife, and he offers Persephone, our heroine, this extravagant marriage offer that will take care of her siblings and make sure that they're financially taken care of, and that they will be able to secure matches of their own. Like, he offers enough money so that they have a significant dowry if Persephone marries him. So at first, Persephone is like, no, I don't want to marry you because, not because of how he looks, but because he's, like, grumpy and mean. Even though, again, like, he is the Duke, so that would be a much, like, she would rise in station quite a bit. And then when she thinks about her siblings, who she has sort of cared for almost as a mother, since her mother passed away, she has very motherly feelings for them. She decides to marry him after all because she can't pass up the opportunity to have her siblings taken care of. So even in the beginning, in their arranged marriage, they don't spend their wedding night together. They're not, she is the type of woman who is very soft and very tender and very gentle and very kind, and she is sort of continuously being kind to him and hoping that he'll soften towards her. And for a lot of the book, we don't see him doing that. And then gradually, he starts to really develop feelings for her, and she is definitely getting him in the feels as she's trying to, break down his walls and things like that. So what initially started out as, okay, we've seen this type of story a million times before, a Beauty and the Beast type of retelling, a scarred, damaged hero, a marriage of convenience, these are all very familiar historical romance tropes. And this book really sucked me in right away, and I think that may be why, partly because it is such familiar ground. But I was telling my friends, I was like, I want to see what she's going to do with this. Like, I don't necessarily need it to be super fresh or super new, but I want it to feel very genuine, and I want it to feel like these characters are really working towards this relationship and that it doesn't just feel too tropey, And to me, the way the author usually does that is through the subtleties and the character interactions and little insights into how they may feel about one another that is changing as they're interacting over time. So right now I'm at the part where the Duke just bought her, Persephone, his name is Adam, that's what she calls him, just bought her a riding habit because she wanted to learn to ride, and he bought it for her early on, and it just arrived here, and she's really won over by that because she recognizes that he bought it early on when they weren't getting along, so he was still thinking about her, and now they're sort of starting to get along. There are sort of these barriers that are breaking down between them, and they're getting to know each other. And I just find this book really delightful. I'm having a wonderful time reading it. It is very, very cleanly written. As far as the prose is clean, not in a way of dirty versus clean, but I mean the prose is tight, it's concise, it's reading well. You know what I mean? Hopefully I'm describing that well. I don't at all mean the content. What I'm talking about is the style of the prose feels very clean and very readable in that way. That's maybe not the best word to describe it. So I am very much enjoying this, and I have a ton of work to do. I just came to the gym to get a very quick workout in, and then I'm gonna go home. I have to finish my Halloween sculptures and get them shipped out, so I may include some B-roll footage of that for y'all. And yeah, that's my plans for today. That's literally all I've got planned. I thought about skipping the gym today because I really don't have time for this, and but I know for my own mental health, I have to do this. If I am physically able to, I have to at least attempt a short workout, because that's something that really helps me manage my mental health that I talked about. And I don't want to keep bringing it up, but I did get a question on Instagram about, has fitness been a part of my life, forever? And not always, but largely it has. And one of the major reasons that it is such a big part of my life is because it does help me manage mental health. Without it, if I take it out, times when I've been ill or I've had procedures or whatever where I wasn't able to work out, it really, really affected me. So I am going to work out very short, gonna have a good time in there, and then I have to stop at the store and get some shipping supplies for these sculptures, because my supplies I ordered are going to be here after I need them, which is very frustrating. But and then just work on all the Halloween sculptures, and hopefully I have today and tomorrow to get them finished and shipped. So I am very stressed, so why not add to that stress by coming and starting a vlog? But I just wanted to talk about this book because I am reading it right now, and I'm enjoying it, and I haven't seen anybody talking about this on BookTube. I feel like historical romances aren't often talked about on BookTube, at least from what I've seen. But I really felt like picking some up. So far I'm really enjoying this. I'm very curious to see what the conflict is and how they resolve it, and I don't know, I'm excited about it. I love a Grumpy Sunshine dynamic, especially when he starts to soften to her. that's a thing of beauty. So all right, my friends, thank you so much for being here. I will check in with y'all later, and hopefully I can include one more audiobook in this. I'm gonna finish this one today, and then hopefully I can get one more done, and then maybe this vlog can go up soon. So I'm feeling my reading mojo is here, and I'm happy about it. And thank you for being here. I'll talk to you when I have more to say. Hello, my friends. Okay, I finished Seeking Persephone, the historical romance, and I really, really liked it. It was very fun. It was just a very sweet, very charming, just very cute, and it was just sweet and lovely, and I just really, really enjoyed it. It is, you know, earlier I said that I felt like, you know, this is a very, these are tropes that we've seen done before, and like, we've always seen tropes done before, right? But I feel like this one is so very common in historical romance that there are so many different iterations of it, and I have to say that I just felt like this was done really, really well. I think it was just very clean storytelling, you know? I think that there was nothing about it that was convoluted. There was nothing that was over the top. I wasn't ever bored while I was listening to this. I was very engaged the whole time. I really just had a great time reading it. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. And I will say that I did really like specifically the way that, I really liked the way that the hero kind of was, I do feel like we had more of a look at his inner thoughts and his, like, past. Like, he has, like, abandonment issues because of his mother, and, he really is kind of like struggling with those, and he's got like a lot of like self-loathing that he's struggling with, and so he really presents this persona of just cold, angry, hard, and nobody can get close to him. So even in the moments, and that's just become like such a part of who he is, this like self-defense, and I think that's probably very relatable for a lot of men in real life. He's just gotten so used to having that be who he is and how he responds to things, that even when he like has feelings for Persephone and he starts to really care about her, he still comes across as cold, and you kind of catch him checking himself, and her feeling like, her reading that as, oh, he doesn't like me, oh, he, you know, he doesn't feel about me the way that I'm starting to feel for him, and he recognizes that and sort of like checks his behavior and starts to try and do better. And I love seeing that in romance. Like, that's something that I really, really love seeing on the page, is when one of the characters in the relationship has like something that they just really like struggle with. Sorry, you're shaking. I'm working while I'm doing this. That they're really just like struggling with, that is something that has, you know, they've got a history, they've got some trauma surrounding it in some way, and that's just sort of become their go-to response when they're in situations like that. And it takes them a moment to realize, I don't have to behave like that. This is a safe person who cares about me. And I just love that. I think it's just really, really beautiful. And, I mean, he is also just a very dashing hero who saves the day, rescues our heroine, and I always think that's very fun. I liked our heroine, too. I don't feel like she was a pushover. She was very soft and sweet, and I loved seeing her softness not as a weakness. Like, I just loved it. So, I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to give it 5 stars, because I just had a great time reading it, and I thought it was really fun. And I would definitely recommend it. I think this is probably one of the better, like, Scarred Hero, Beauty and the Beast retellings that I've read. And I also have to say that I really liked how this was like a very chaste romance, and so when they're trying to get to know each other in this arranged marriage, they don't rely only on, oh, you're hot, I'm hot, let's, you know, hit the bedroom. Like, I love so much that just wasn't the driving force between how they fell for each other, that as sort of like a jumping off point, you know? I loved how it truly developed, like, they had friendship, and then they had this respect. They had respect for each other, and then they had friendship, and then that blossomed into love, and I just thought that was really, really lovely to watch. So yeah, I just felt like it was really fresh and really unique and just really, really lovely and charming, and I had a really good time reading it. So 5 stars for that one, and I would recommend it. I think this is an author that I definitely want to read from again. It was just a very sweet, classic, beautiful historical, and I had a great time with this. So, alright, there is my wrap up on that book. Now, I think I'm going to attempt not The Right Move. I can't even remember the title of it. The book that comes after The Right Move by Liz Tom Ford, it just recently was released. I just really wasn't in the mood for contemporary romance at all, and also I did that same thing where I'm like, oh, this book is getting a lot of hype, even though I read The Right Move when it was just starting to get hype, because my friends were like, you're gonna like this. And I did like it a lot, so But then this book came out and it was getting like a lot of buzz and I was getting a little nervous, and so I really just wasn't feeling like reading it at all. But I do feel like reading it now, so I'm going to start that one and we'll see if it... I will say though, I still have a lot of work to get done, and so if it's not holding my attention, I'm going to switch to something else because I don't have time to be bored by my audiobook today, you know? So that's the plan, but don't hold me to it, because if my mind, if my mood is like, we're going to try something else. So, all right, I'll check back in with you when I have something to say about the next book I pick up. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the vlog. So, it's now Monday. I did not finish 2 books in 2 days. I felt like that was probably a bit optimistic, but I did finish 2 books. So, okay, I know I mentioned I was thinking about starting Caught Up. Like, I really, really, really wanted to read that. I had just heard, actually, the thing that sold me on finally trying Caught Up, even though my 2 closest friends, Jessin and Jen, both told me about Caught Up. Like, I told them, you know, you can tell me in detail what you want, because I didn't plan on reading it anytime soon. The thing that actually sold me on finally picking it up was I watched a video by Tori from A Novel Life where she was talking about how much she loved it, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it. So I did start it, and I want to preface this by saying that right now I have very little tolerance for over-sexualization of women specifically, or even the romance in general. Like, my tolerance for that is practically 0 right now. I don't want to read about that in romance. No. You know, I've talked about it a lot. And but I will say, both books I've read by Liz Tomford were so romantic that I just was like so excited, and I really wanted to like this. And I didn't even really get far enough to say that I don't like the book, but I did get far enough. Something kind of like just struck me, and I was having a hard time getting past it, and so my interest just kind of tanked. And it's not even a big deal. Most people, I mean, to me it's a big deal. I should preface that. I think to most people it probably wouldn't be. But there was a comment made, not even by the hero, like the hero's brother or a side character, talking about how he hopes that the main character, I think his name is Kai, or hopes or likes how the nannies he picks for his kid all have really big breasts. And just like, and he didn't say big breasts, right? He used like pretty crass, crude terms that I just find like completely, I don't want to read about that anymore. Like, it's just, honestly, it kind of disgusts me. And so, and I feel like I'm going to get comments about like, you're such a prude. I don't even care. You can call me a prude. I am here for romance with gentlemen. Okay. I want gentleman heroes. I want the men to not be disgusting, and I just, so anyway, it wasn't a huge deal probably for a lot of people, but it was just something that I'm like, I have no interest in continuing this. And also, I will say that just, you know, after I had read the Seeking Persephone, which felt so fresh and unique, such a different romance as far as like the voice and the whole story, that coming back to Caught Up, which feels very similar to so many romances that I've read before, just with the setup and, you know, even like the way they're talking about heroes or heroines or what they want in romance, like it just felt like I've gorged myself on that type of romance, and I'm no longer interested in it, you know? And when I say that I'm looking for like a gentleman type of hero in romance, like a lot of historical romances don't even have gentleman heroes. And I'm not saying like, I don't know, I feel like anytime I say this, my words are going to get misconstrued a little bit, and I don't mean them to at all. The light in here, once again, is not ideal, but I just, like, and especially because I just read King of Greed by Anna Huang, which I felt like was pretty darn near perfect. A pretty much perfect, it was a perfect contemporary romance for me. The longing, the romance, it was just so beautifully done in there. And that hero is very protective of her. And he is like a dominant hero, but not in an excessive way. And he's certainly not a gross. Like, he is a gentleman hero. And I'm just like, can we get more like that, please? So, after reading Seeking Persephone and feeling like that is exactly what I'm wanting right now, I tried another author that also writes closed-door romances, and her name is, I'm going to butcher it, Cian and Bessie, I'm not sure how you say it, but this is the book I picked up, The Noble Smuggler. I've had my eye on this for a while, mostly because the person who narrated Heart in the Highlands also narrated this book, and I really like that narrator. So I started listening to it, and I was captivated, and I was swept away, and I loved it. I am going to give it like 4.5, round up to 5, only because I feel like this leans more into the historical fiction aspect than pure romance, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I felt like the romance that she did was so good that I was kind of hoping that we could have had more moments like that. This, to me, feels very similar to like a BBC period romance type of thing. Like, it was, honestly, it's not at all similar to Persuasion, that BBC one, but it was reminding me of the feeling I had when I watched that, and I just loved it. So the basic premise of this is our heroine is the daughter of a smuggler, and her mother is about to pass away, and she leaves her something that she hopes will help her have a better future than just being the daughter of a smuggler. Our hero is a nobleman, he's a viscount, and his father was killed by smugglers, and so he is in disguise in this smuggler area, and he's trying to ferret out the people who killed his father. So in doing so, he gets injured, and the heroine stumbles across him, takes him in, and patches him up, basically, and they have a connection there. And he ends up leaving, and he says, listen, if you are in need of any help at all, please look me up. So time passes. We learn more about the smuggling plot overall, and again, like, this is steeped in historical details. And pretty soon, we find out that our heroine ends up, her father, who is sort of like an evil, wicked man, ends up trying to sell her basically into a marriage that will help him financially because he's in a lot of trouble. This is a very evil man that he wants to wed her to, and she doesn't want anything to do with that. And so she tries to escape. Her father beats her and leaves her basically for dead, and other than he doesn't kill her because he wants her to marry this guy. She ends up escaping, goes to who she believes, she doesn't know he's a viscount, he's in disguise, who she believes is the smuggler who said, hey, if you need help, come and find me. So she goes to find him, and he takes her in and starts nursing her back to health. So he takes her in and starts nursing her back to health. Sorry if I changed positions, I got a phone call while I was talking to you guys. And then we have a greater aspect of the plot, and some secrets are revealed about who she is and who he is and how they navigate that in their relationship. And I just really enjoyed this. This felt like a very epic story. Like, I loved the storytelling in here. I liked the way that this felt very deeply, richly historical. And I think that if you like a BBC period type of romance drama, I think you will like this. I think that if you like historical details in your historical romance, I think you will like this. Again, like, literally the only reason this is a 4.5 instead of a solid 5 is because I do feel like the romance wasn't the focus at all times as much as the plot was, but it was really beautifully written. It was really excellent storytelling. This felt like, sometimes when you watch one of those period BBC shows, you just want like a little bit more contact between the two of them, like a little more hand holding, a little more romantic gestures, and you don't entirely get that here. But I think if you like Mary Belloc too, I think you would like this, or even Georgette Heyer, I think you would also like this a lot. So I found, especially towards the end, when they work through their issues, when the background plot is resolved, there are some moments where she's in danger and he has to rescue her, which, I'm always a sucker for. I think that it was just really lovely, just a beautifully told story. And I will say that I got a comment on Goodreads. Someone mentioned how, thanks for taking one for the team by reading some of these Christian clean romances. They put clean in air quotes. And, I don't see it that way at all. I am Christian, and I feel like my faith is stronger now than it has been in the last few years, and I feel so happy about that. But I will also say that I think a good story, a well-told story, is a well-told story, regardless of if it's closed door or not, regardless of if it's romance or not. So I don't think that either of these books are at all Christian as far as like the story goes. I think they're just solid historical romances, but there's no steam in them, which, like, that just is what I want right now. I love focusing on the relationship when we don't constantly make references to sex or objectifying women, or I'm just so tired of that. Like, I could scream about it, and I know I have. But I do want to say that I'm going to continue reading from these authors because I think they're excellent authors. And I think that when we say, well, I'm not going to read that because it's a Christian author or whatever, like, that's, I understand why people would, especially if they have, like, anybody can have a bad experience with anything. But in my mind, I feel like, you know, that's a disservice to a lot of really good authors out there. So I do love both of these books. I, you know, fully recommend them. Like I'm saying, if you like a Mary Belloc, Georgette Hare, BBC period type of historical romance, I think you'll really like these. The first one is definitely more fun, more banter, more romance. The second one was just a sweepingly beautiful, epic, historical romance that was just excellent. So I liked both of them equally. Not entirely. I like the first one a little better, but I really liked the second one, and I can't wait to read more from these authors. So I'm very excited about this, and I definitely recommend both of these if you like these things. This is not a Tessa Dare type of historical romance, you know, but they're beautiful and valid, and I think they're worth picking up for sure. There's some really excellent characters and storytelling and romance in here. So, all right, my friends, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And this is actually coming out on Halloween, so I didn't get any real Halloween content filmed, and that's okay. I'm trying to be so kind with myself and so gentle about this channel specifically. I have so much pressure in, like, my work life, and I'm not going to give myself any pressure at all. Whatever videos I make are what I make, and that's it. So I just want to say thank you for being here with me, and, you know, I appreciate you. Made it this far. Please feel free to leave me any type of Halloween emoji because Halloween. And I'll see y'all in my next video.